Welcome. We're back. Hopefully everybody had a good day. We got a new week in the market. We're gonna look at Bitcoin while people are hopping into the stream, just as Mehdi said. Bitcoin still in this little 4-hour falling wedge. Looked at this yesterday during a scanning call in the afternoon. I thought the original way I had it charted, it kind of looked like it was breaking out, but if you just chart it, wick to wick, really didn't break out of anything. Still, if you go on the daily on Bitcoin, it's just in this very wide range. Let me take these out. I really don't care about those right now, but still just in this really wide range. That's really it on Bitcoins. I wish there's more to talk about, but until there's something more clear on Bitcoin, it's okay to just kind of look away for a little bit and look elsewhere for opportunity as a trader until opportunity arises again on Bitcoin, So that's really it. We're going to talk about stocks now. I'm going to go over the overall market. After that, we'll talk about the ongoing trades. We'll talk about Clover and Space, which are both in the title and thumbnail. Then we're going to do ticker requests in probably about 25 minutes. Should be a pretty simple stream, just right to the point, nothing too crazy. So make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. How's everybody doing in the chat? Steven says Clover option vibes. Yeah, Clover options doing pretty well. But yeah, let's get into the overall market. Futures completely flat yet again. The S&P, the Nasdaq. Actually, did the Nasdaq? Yeah, the S&P and the Nasdaq both hit new all-time highs again today. So, we're still trending higher in the market. You still do have classic bearish divergence developing on the Nasdaq. And I believe the QQQ as well, you do have some classic bearish divergence developing. So in my opinion, it's just a matter of time until you get some sort of a retrace. The market will not go up like this forever. You're going to have some sort of a pull, whether it's right over here or whether, you go higher and then you pull back. It's for now, I'm just taking it day by day. There's no need for me to try and predict when it's going to be exactly. Whenever it happens, it happens. You always just got to manage your risk and be ready for any potential scenario. Looking at the S&P 500, didn't mean to do that. Scrolling up a little bit, we do have a gap to fill around 43.30 on the S&P 500. Still just kind of in space. No bearish divergence. Not really overbought on the 4-hour. It's about there though. About getting overbought on both the 4-hour and the daily. We take a look at the Russell 2000 small cap index. It is back over this supply line. It really hasn't regarded it too much. So that's really it. I mean, I think there is actually some classic bullish divergence on the Russell 2000. Hopefully that's good for small caps, but we'll see. Really most indices were up today. All the major ones were up today. The ARK ETF was down today, which might tell the story for a lot of growth innovation type of stocks, pulling back a little bit. Trades today, most of them were just flat in terms of the ongoing swing trades. There was a couple of them that popped off, like Clover and a couple other premium trades, but pretty quiet, simple, slow start to the week for the most part as a swing trader. That's really it. On the ARK ETF, it had a, basically last Thursday we had a gap down in the morning. It was pretty rough, but then the bulls really stepped up on both Thursday and Friday to get a very nice bounce off of Thursday's low in the morning. And then today it looks like maybe we're just getting a little bit of a pullback again on those growth innovation stocks. Even the Dow Jones is pretty close to all-time highs as well. So for right now, it just seems like the market's on autopilot. There's not really too much going on compared to the end of last week. It's kind of the same market. Still, you have a couple large cap tech names running, but a lot of them are starting to lose a little bit of steam. You have seen a lot of them, like Apple for an example. It's still at a very good price, but it is starting to kind of slow down its parabolic rally since the beginning of June. If we take a look at Microsoft, which was also red today, same thing. It was going crazy, and now for the past week or so, it's just kind of been going sideways. So we are starting to see a little bit of, I'd guess, turbulence on a lot of these names going forward. We'll see how that, we'll see what that turns into. But if you didn't watch last night's stream, I was talking about a potential rotation that I was looking at or, you know, the chance of it happening. It's really not usually, it's not really technical analysis. It's just mainly me comparing different types of charts and thinking if a certain amount of variables align with each other, we could see another rotation, because we just got a rotation about 2 weeks ago. We saw a rotation from small caps and mid caps over into large cap tech stocks, and now I'm thinking those large cap tech stocks ran a little bit too fast for a stable run, and they might just pull back a little bit, and then hopefully when they pull back, which would in turn drop the major indices because they make up a good amount of it, hopefully we could see some money flow back into some good names. But mid caps and small caps, they're starting to do a little bit better, even though a lot of them are still kind of declining a little bit, but not as rough as they were in the beginning of last week for sure. And that's really it. That's the overall outlook on the market. I mean, the VIX back down to that 16.2 level, same level from pre-COVID crash. US 10-year kind of trying to hang on to this demand line. It is above the 2016 low, and there is a little bit of classic bullish divergence on the 10-year bonds. But yeah, other than that, not too much. Probably going to talk about, what should we talk about next? We'll probably talk about space right now, then we'll talk about Clover after that. Let me take a look at the chat for a second. Make sure to hit that like button if you just joined in on the stream. Let's get to 25 likes right now. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We just hit 2620 subscribers. Appreciate it very much, all the support. Some Kenny says added Clover today after hours for swing vibes, managing risk. Good luck. Steven says, do you think there's more money pouring into the market all-time highs because people are protecting their money against inflation? I'm not too familiar with how high inflation periods align with the market. I think it was, what was it, the 80s where we had that big inflation scare and the markets did pull. But it depends. I think not necessarily people are pouring their money right into any stocks in the market to kind of hedge inflation, but you know, definitely large cap tech stocks, blue chips are what a lot of conventional investors find safer, right? Those huge companies, the mega caps like Apple and Microsoft. I think that rotation we saw into those names was people trying to move over from a little bit more of speculative stocks into kind of less speculative stocks that could help them hedge better. I mean, metals have always been a way to hedge against currency inflation. People have made the argument for Bitcoin. It hasn't done too well doing that in the past few months. Hopefully it does a little bit better. So, you know, we'll see, because Bitcoin could be looked at as a hedge against inflation because of the limited supply. It's just the volatility of Bitcoin probably doesn't make it as attractive to, you know, big money in terms of a hedge, rather than like a speculative trade that a lot of them are probably looking at Bitcoin as. So yeah, we're gonna look at Wish as well. It's on my watch list. We're gonna talk about space first. AS says, how long do you plan to hold on to your Clover call options? As long as I need to. You know, I don't want to hold them into expiration. I have calls expiring on the 23rd of this month and the 30th of this month. So yeah, you know, if there's a good move before the expiration, I'd be liking to take profits. If there's a bad move, I'd probably be trying to cut my loss. Had a good pop on them today with the move on Clover, which we're going to talk about in a second here. But really, it's not like, you know, I'm telling myself I need to get out of these calls tomorrow. It's like I have to follow the price action until the theta decay really starts picking up closer to the expiration date. Michael says, is there any difference when charting between filled candles and non-filled candles? And then I'm not too sure what you mean by filled candles. Charting between filled candles. I'm not exactly sure what you mean by that. Maybe try and put it in a different way. We're gonna do ticker requests in about like probably 15 minutes, so just hold off on those for a little bit. Not doing tickers for right now, and all the you know, this is just like, again, for the new people in the stream. If you drop tickers in the chat, like you know, before I start doing ticker requests, I'm not gonna add them to my watch list when I start. I like having it like organized. You could obviously retype them when I say we're doing ticker requests, but just make sure to wait until I say so you get your ticker looked at for sure. Just like the organization of the stream, want to have some sort of a structure. Chatter Free says, yes, it was the 70s with inflation. ADR to the moon based on your Adidas jacket. All right, so I think that's pretty much everything in the chat. We're gonna talk about Space and Clover now. Probably talk about GME and Wish as well. We could add AMC to the watch list to look at. But yeah, we're gonna start with Space. Had a crazy run, really ever since the beginning of May. It's been on a crazy run. I was able to catch pretty much the bottom for an entry on a trade, and it was a great trade. It was a 54% trade in like a week. I don't think anybody's complaining about 50% returns on equity in a week, not even options. But obviously, it went up, you know, over 200% or something. I think since then, just not really. There's nothing I could have done to target that conventionally. Definitely had a bunch of catalysts, and you had the flight yesterday morning that went well. Today you had what I think was a combination of sell the news as well as, I believe, please fact check me if I'm incorrect here, but I believe Space or Virgin Galactic is planning to sell or already has sold shares. I'm not too sure exactly. I just saw headlines on. I didn't look at any filings or anything, but that's what I think I heard of. And it pulled back 17% today. It did actually fill a gap, filled a gap from June 24th, which is good. You know, it did break that 43 level we talked about last night on the stream. Unfortunately, it actually bounced off of it for like the first two tests of it, and then eventually broke it. For Space at this point, I think the next level will probably be 38. It was your high from June 9th. You break 38, then you still got 36, which was kind of where you're consolidating in the middle of June. It was your high in March. It was your high in December. A little bit of a resistance for a couple days in February as well. So those are the levels on Space. 43 is the closest resistance. That's really it. Just really interesting. You know, a lot of people are talking about this one. I haven't traded Space in a while. I used to have it in a Roth IRA, but I kind of like pretty much, I had like a I guess diversified Roth IRA last summer, but I pretty much just kind of I've already talked about this before, but I kind of moved everything into Fisker probably like last November or something. So yeah, I used to have like Beyond Meat, I used to have Space, I used to have Rocket, but it didn't really make sense to me with the limitations on a Roth IRA with the capital amount and stuff. So I was like, that's besides the point. Let's talk about Clover now. Keep hitting that like button. We got 46 people in here. Thank you very much for clicking on the stream. I like to chart every single night. This is not any moon boy stuff. This is just true technical analysis, risk management, probability. It's all just charting. That's really it. I don't have emotions with this stuff. I'm just unbiased. I look at charts. I go off what the textbooks have taught me, what other people have taught me in this game of technical analysis and trading, and I just relay it to all of you. So if you're, you know, interested in something like that, hit that subscribe button, join the Discord, the link's in the description, and let's talk about Clover. So I put out a trade idea on Clover on Friday. The entry was $9.25. Clover went all the way up to $10 today. So at the high today, the Clover trade was up 8%, but it did pull back. Currently it's up 4%, almost 5%. Today was really good. Today is what I think Clover needed. I mean, obviously, after going down for 7 days in a row, it needed the green day at some point, and you got that today. But from a technical standpoint, this green day helps out a lot. It really, really does. You know, I'm gonna show you why, and it's pretty clear here as well. But the fact that you got a green day allowed you to create some good technical signals. You now have your hidden bullish divergence on the daily starting to develop. It's only one histogram wick, but it's better than nothing. And also, what I really, really like seeing right now is you have a confirmed daily bullish engulfing candle on Clover. You engulfed all of Friday and Thursday's bodies. So that is very good. That finally, because for the past 2 weeks, I've been saying nonstop, you don't really have any setup on the daily for Clover. Now you're starting to get a little bit of a setup on the daily. And again, this could get invalidated. It could mean nothing. The last idea I put out on Clover went up 10% like the day after I put it out, just like this one did. And that one eventually ended up getting stopped out during this horrible drop. So again, you can't get too overconfident or anything, but it's a good start, right? I had some options that I shared with premium members. I think on Friday, they went up to like 60+% when Clover popped today. So that was nice. There also was, I also shared Wish options on, I think, Friday as well. Those did not work out. We're probably gonna talk about Wish next. But going a little bit more into Clover, the 4-hour hidden bullish divergence is looking pretty neat right now. Hopefully we're not going to get a fake out like we did at the end of June. Hopefully this can actually confirm at some point in the near future. And I just noticed the RSI is also showing hidden bullish divergence, and it got oversold. On the 4-hour RSI, the last time it was oversold, it went from, I believe, $7. No, it went from $6.50 to $28. The last time the RSI was oversold, from the low of the RSI to the high. And we came all the way back down the RSI at a higher price, which is why you have hidden bullish divergence. You made a higher low, but at the same RSI level. And historically, every time the 4-hour RSI has gotten oversold, you've had huge runs, right? So the last time the RSI was oversold on Clover on the 4-hour, you went from $6.50 to $28. The time before that, you went from $6.30 to $9. And then before that, you went from like $10 to 17. So historical trends are looking pretty good. It's just, we'll have to see what happens. I actually did share in the Discord earlier today that there was a 4-hour bullish hammer candle. I shared this before we had the pop on Clover. It was at like $9 when I shared this in the Discord. And eventually got a nice pop. And on the 1-hour, I think you got pretty close to hitting the PCZ of that bullish butterfly we were talking about yesterday night on stream. So yeah, those are, that's what I'm looking at on Clover. Had somebody, I'm not going to say their name or anything, but somebody commented on last night's stream. And again, it's a fair point that I'm sure many people watching the stream might bring up that are not familiar with who I am and what I talk about. But somebody commented on last night's stream basically saying, I don't remember exactly what, but says something along the lines of, doing technical analysis on such a volatile ticker like Clover with hedge funds shorting it down is a waste of time. And I get it. I get why somebody would say that. Definitely in the past week, it pretty much was a waste of time because you had the lockup expiration, you had the downgrade today, I believe, and you also had a downgrade from Bank of America not too long ago. So I definitely get that. But the thing with technicals, it's not fortune telling, it's not whatever all these people make it out to be, it's just looking at probabilities. And yes, when people are trying to squeeze the stock and it becomes a meme stock, it changes the psychology of the stock, which does affect the technicals. But at the end of the day, technicals still can work on anything that has a chart, right? And we have traded Clover multiple times this whole, probably over 20 times this year. In either options or swings, and more than half of them have played out. And also, even in this downtrend, you can ask premium members from $28 down to $9. I've probably shared about 5 or 6 options ideas, and probably maybe 3 or 4 of them were huge winners. Like 150%, 100%. Today we got 60%. So it's all about knowing what you're doing. And unfortunately, a lot of people don't know what they're doing with technicals. They lose money and then they blame the technicals when really it was just them not learning it the right way, which is why I try and teach it the right way. So we'll see what happens. Let's move on from Clover. Talk about Wish now. Wish had a fake out today. So Wish right at the open came up to about 1134, which from just a price standpoint was a breakout because we were talking about this 1120 level on Wish last night. It did break that at the open, but this is what I was talking about. You have to wait for confirmation. There was no confirmation. You did have a decent amount of volume on that pop, but you never even closed the 1-hour candle above 1120. And you never got follow through price action because it was a fake out. So you had a pretty rough fake out on Wish today from the high of the day down to the low, and ended up dropping about 4% or so. Yeah, on Wish, you're just still within this little range, in between 1075 and 1120. It's been in this range since July 7th, so for 5 days now, not including the weekend. So yeah, I would like to see Wish get back over 11. It already has broken out the downsloping channel. It's just failing to really catch bids right now, as Mitch Ray would say. You need demand, right? The volume is still super dry. It's just not really doing much. So hopefully you can start doing something. You just want to hold above 1175, 1075 is what you want to hold above on Wish. You want to close every single 1-hour candle above that, and then hopefully at some point close a 1-hour candle above 1120 to get a potential breakout. Moving on from Wish, we're going to talk about AMC and GameStop now. I think GameStop looks really interesting, and I'll bring it up. AMC, it's just, it's in such a weird area, right? You know, it was in this range between 51 and 65 for the second half of June. It broke that in the beginning of this month. Had one good day, which I think was last Thursday. It gapped down, and then it went up like 20% intraday or something. And it's pretty much just spent, you know, the last 2 days kind of giving back those gains, unfortunately. You know, at this point on AMC, your closest support is just $40, psychological support. The real horizontal historical support is 36, right? The candle low, the candle high, the previous resistances back from 2016 and 2015. 36 is definitely the more historical support or potential support. It really hasn't been tested too much as support yet. So on AMC, you know, like I've said before, I don't really touch AMC, but if you are an AMC and if you are a bull, you just want to hold above 36. There still is room down to 36, but really in between 36 and 51 is kind of unclear. There's just not too much price action over here historically. So that's really it. But on the other hand, GameStop, this is not an actual trade ID or anything. I just looked at this when I was scanning. Maybe it does become one, but GameStop, you have 4-hour classic bullish divergence. This is class A, textbook divergence on the MACD, not on your RSI. Then on the daily, you also have class A hidden bullish divergence developing. And all this is happening at this 188 level, which used to be resistance in April and May of this year. And now for the last 2 days, it has become support. So if GME can just continue to close above 188, which it has done for the past 4 days, every day it's tested it. Some days it's gone a little bit under, but every day at the end of the day, it's closed above 188. If it can continue doing that, eventually the divergence confirms. I would not be surprised if we got another, you know, push back up on GameStop. Very similar setup to, if anybody remembers, this one right over here. That pennant when it had a cup and handle on the 1 hour, kind of see it over here. Oh, I still have it charted. Kind of similar to that. You don't have a cup and handle on this one, but you do have hidden bullish divergence. We'll see what happens with GameStop. And yeah, let's see. Okay, we talked about Wish. Talk about Boeing next. Just 3 other ongoing trends I need to talk about. Keep hitting that like button. Let's get to 35 likes right now. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We're going to look at Boeing, ALLO, and then PSTH, which are the other ongoing trades. And then after I do this, we're going to do take requests. Let me take a look at the chat. Space had an offering, says Doug. What else? Thank you, D. Appreciate it. I have a lot of Adidas clothing. That's definitely probably the most clothing I have from one brand. Just seeing if there's anything in the chat that I missed. Steven had a big win on the Clover options today. He tweeted it out. Congratulations, Steven. Good job with all the progress you've made. Steven says, sold my 723 options, kept half of my 730 options. Profit taken. Always got to lock in those profits. Congratulations. And holding on to some in case it does do what I hope it can do. Jeff O'Connor says, moving on to Monday is helpful. Feels like Thursday and Friday get crushed more than earlier in the week because of options. Yeah, options expirations definitely on, you know, on stocks that are owned heavily by institutions and are being shorted heavily. You know, that's when you could see a lot of aggression going into Thursdays and Fridays to try and get calls out of the money, for sure. SPAC Invader says, hype play equals everyone looking at the technicals movement will be bigger. Exactly. That's a really important thing about technicals. Not only do technicals work because they're patterns that have played out over the past century time and time again with a consistent probability, not with a certainty, but with a consistent probability. Not only do they work because of that and because you're kind of analyzing or visualizing the psychology of people trading a stock, they also work because you have traders around the world looking at the same setups, identifying the same potential maybe bullish patterns and trading the same patterns, right? So it kind of works, you know, in conjunction. Steven says, who hit the dislike button? Just leave. I don't know. We got like 4 dislikes on last night's stream. I always just focus on the likes. I don't ever talk about dislikes. I mean, people can do whatever they want. It doesn't really affect me. But I do like likes. So Dislikes, whatever. Don't really care. Likes, however, feel free to hit that like button whenever you want. Boeing, still around the entry of this trade idea I put out. It still looks fine to me. Anything above this demand line on Boeing looks good to me. Hopefully at some point it can get back above 244. That's the main goal here. That was your high from last summer. And if it ever breaks out of this symmetrical triangle, I'd like to see a move back up to the top. All right, for right now, nothing's really changed. ALLO also, not much has changed. Still closing above 23, which is good. But optimally, I want to see us get back above 25. PSTH broke support. We talked about this last week. Not looking too good for right now. Hopefully, this thing can just get saved somehow, but you kind of not looking too good. I mean, it's down 6% in a couple of weeks, I believe. Just not really doing what I was initially hoping for. You never know. There still is another 2% of room for error, so we'll see. But for right now, definitely the bears are in control, unfortunately, for PSTH. Futures still flat. Bitcoin at 33K right now. Talk about Fisker last. Didn't mean to do that. All right, Fisker, you do actually have hidden bullish divergence developing now on the daily. Now it's only 1 wick. You definitely need a lot more than that, but it certainly is developing. So that's pretty interesting. You can get hidden bullish. If this confirms and starts looking really good and we get some sort of a pattern, I don't have an issue putting out another idea on Fisker, but I need a little bit more than just that. You don't have any divergence on the 4 hour. You had a big bounce off of the 200-day moving average last Thursday. Still under the 1737 resistance back from December and January. I don't know. It's just still kind of in this weird price area. It's not really super clear to me. Hopefully that hidden bullish divergence does something. RSI is also right around 50, which is pretty much the middle. Pretty neutral overall. Maybe a slight bullish edge, but I guess you just want to continue holding above the 200-day moving average on Fisker at 1587-ish. So yeah, that's pretty much the recap from today. I didn't really trade that much today. Just kind of a pretty simple day. Hopefully we get a little bit more action tomorrow. I might try and day trade. I didn't day trade at all today. It was too busy. But we'll see what happens tomorrow. Join the Discord. That's where I, talk about intraday setups and give updates on the swings and put out new alerts and stuff like that. So yeah. Spaculator says, did you set up an idea for puts on Microsoft? Last Monday, we actually traded Microsoft puts and we made 45% in an hour. It was actually crazy. I identified like a bunch of bearish stuff on the Microsoft chart last Monday, or last Tuesday, because Monday the market was closed. And I shared put options with the premium members. And they were already up like 20% before any news came out because the price was... What? Steven, can we get some vibes in the chat right now? Oh my gosh. Steven M with a $47 tip, the largest tip in a while, says made $4,700 with Clover options and counting. ... Thanks, man. Technical analysis. Oh my gosh. Let's get some vibes in the chat right now for Steven. Thank you very much, Steven, for yet another tip. I think you were literally the last tip before this tip, so you're on a streak right now. Thank you very much for the 47, all the tips, all the support, all the testimonials. You're the best. Really appreciate it. Let's get some vibes in the chat for Steven. That's awesome. Yeah, keep crushing it. Really appreciate the tip. Thank you. So I was talking about, yeah, we got vibes in the chat coming in from Jeff, AS, Cheddar Freeze, Spiderwebs, Neutron Flux Labs, Mr. J Long, Scrooge, Spac Invader, Joel. Let's go. A lot of vibes in the chat right now. Gold Miners in here. How's everybody doing? We got D dropping vibes in the chat. We got Shelby dropping vibes in the chat. Anybody else? I like to shout out everybody who drops it. Scrooge says, hey Steven, maybe you should start some one-on-one classes. I've actually, I really think I've had classes with Steven before. I do think he definitely has learned a lot. And I think that's a great thing about the Discord. It's where it's like, back in like January, I think there was really only like a handful of people in the Discord that really knew a lot about technicals. But over the past 5-6 months, like now we have dozens and dozens of people in the Discord that are pretty much around the same level that I am. You know, I never try and say I'm on a different level. Like literally, there's so many people that are just as good as me in terms of technical knowledge. So it's really cool to have a lot of like-minded individuals around helping me out. Shout out to everybody, because definitely it's not a one-man thing. It's like literally the whole community. That's the beauty of it. So yeah, for sure. But we were talking about the Microsoft puts last Monday. I shared a put idea last Tuesday. They went up 45% in an hour, and then the GENI news came out like literally like 30 minutes later, and then they ended up going up like 45%. So yeah, really nice move. And like it was like in an hour. Since then it's just kind of been going sideways. I don't know, with Microsoft it's like there is classic bearish divergence. There's a bearish crab. It's at the resistance line. It's at a 1618 fib. Mitch Ray was looking at it on his stream. He identified a 3 drives pattern, which is pretty much a triple 1618 on 3 consecutive highs, with 618s in the middle on the kind of like this, right? Over here you could see it came down to a 618, right? Over here you could see it came down to a 618, and then on the final one it could come back down to a 618, and then also likewise it's going up to the 1618 levels. So in terms of technicals, there's a lot of bearish textbook technicals on Microsoft right now, which, you know, could be a signal for puts. The only thing is the trend is just so strong, you know, so you're kind of fighting the trend. You know, typically you want to be getting puts on something that looks bearish, that's already has bearish pressure. Right now Microsoft, even though it has bearish technicals, it definitely has bullish pressure. So I don't know, maybe you'd want to see some levels start breaching first, a little bit more confirmation with the overall market, but you never know. We'll see. Yeah, got vibes in the chat from Prince as well. How you doing? Yeah, we'll do ticker requests now. Keep hitting that like button. Appreciate all the support. If you want me to look at a ticker, now is the time to drop in the chat. For all the people who were dropping tickers in before, remember, just wait until I say now is the time, just so it's easier for me to drop everything on my watch list. Otherwise I have to scroll all the way back up and look for all the tickers. It just takes forever. So if you typed in a ticker before, feel free to drop it in again. We're going to be starting off with DPW from Michael. That was the first one I saw after I said now it's time. So we're going to be starting off, actually no, we're going to be starting off with CLVS from Shelby. We're just going to be doing one ticker per person for right now. So we're going to do CLVS and then DPW from Michael. All right. Remember, don't request anything that was up over 30% today. I don't like chasing things. That's not my trading style. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. You can make your own decisions as a trader. It's just not mine. So I don't really chart things that have already gone crazy. Also, if you're requesting an IPO, there's not much I can do on an IPO from a technical standpoint. Typically, there's only a few weeks of data on the chart, which is still unreliable because you need more data for higher reliability on technicals. So, you know, IPOs, most of the time, there's not much I can do. I'll try, but don't get mad if I just skip over it because I kind of have to. All right, we're gonna start off with CLVS, highly shorted stock. I don't like how it's back under the 200-day moving average. Eventually hitting bullish divergence is possible, but the MACD needs to start losing negative momentum. Major support is at $5. It was your support in 2020 or August of 2020, March of this year, May of this year, and June of this year. It was even support back in 2019. So 5 is a pretty important historical support. Not saying it's going to get there for sure, but that's really all I'm looking at. Maybe a harmonic could be developing, but it would have to get a lot deeper. It would be a butterfly if anything, and it's not in any PCZs for right now. That's really all I see right there on CLVS. DPW, let me just clean this all up. 204 historical area, support over here, and support back in April of this year. I don't really see much here to talk about for right now. I don't even know how you'd look at this as a harmonic because of this scam wick. I don't even know if you could see it on the stream. It's like right over here. But even if we ignore that, let's see. It's kind of too perfect of a double top. Like you have a 0.9495 retrace on C. I mean, maybe you could call this a bullish bat. As you're stretching it a little bit. Even if you do call it one, you don't really have much else. You don't really have divergence or any other patterns or a support right here. I guess you have a little bit of like a 2-day support at 226, which you'd probably want to hold at, but not a lot of wiggle room right there. FUBO. I don't really know. I mean, 27 is your support, 31, 38 is your resistance. You're in between both of them. You definitely are closer to support. You're also still above the 200-day moving average. You probably broke, yeah, you did break a supply line. Maybe a little bit of a breakout here of this like mini descending broadening wedge. Textbook target for a descending broadening wedge is just the top of the wedge, which would be around 34.50, which is also a historical level back from March of this year. So yeah, maybe that's pretty decent. You just got to continue holding above really 27 bucks. That's what you want to do. Head and shoulders on FUBO. If anything, I'd be looking at it like an inverse head and shoulders, which yeah, that could be argued for sure. A potential inverse head and shoulders, something like this. That could be argued, but again, with structural patterns like head and shoulders and cup and handles, they don't really mean much until you break a neckline, right? So it's only a potential head and shoulders until it breaks the neckline, and the neckline is 35. So it would have to break above 35 for it to be a confirmed head and shoulders, right? They're one of their, you know, structural patterns need confirmations before they can actually be called valid patterns, if that makes sense. ADOM, I like that it's above 34 cents. That's a pretty important, very historical level. I mean, it was support in 2018, resistance in June of last year, support from December to April of this year, or January to April of this year. So good. Also close above the 200-day moving average for the first time since like early May. Definitely there was a better entry area down at 17 cents not too long ago. It's obviously gone up about double since then in the beginning of May, so still looks good to me. Definitely better entry areas though. You just want to hold above 34 cents. CLGUF, there's not much I can do here. All I could really see is a potential double bottom, something like this around 50 cents. You just really want to hold 50 cents, because if you don't hold that, then I don't really know what else you're looking at from a technical standpoint. And also, I forgot to say, I'm not a financial advisor. This is all probability. Take it as you want, do your own research, blah, blah, blah. WGO, it's close above the 200-day moving average for 2 days in a row now. Looks pretty good to me above 63. As long as this thing can hold above 63, it already broke out of a wedge, already confirmed bullish divergence. Now it's back above the 200-day moving average. Yeah, still looks fine to me. We looked at this, I think, last night. You do have some resistance at like 72 from your high in June of last year. RHE, above 10 bucks looks pretty fine. 10 bucks is a pretty historical area. As long as you can continue holding above 10, really 1044 is what's more exact, around 1050-ish. You can continue holding above that, it looks fine to me. A little bit of classic bullish divergence on the 4-hour. So just continue holding above that. In terms of resistance, got a little bit around like 1520-ish, like over here. You break that, then probably all the way up to 18, back from your support in December of 2016, maybe a little bit of resistance over here. So you got like 1530 and then 18 as your resistances. SOFI is next. Pretty much flat today. Hidden bullish divergence is still developing on the daily and the 4-hour. It's almost confirmed. It is still holding the 0.82 retrace, which is pretty interesting, not the 886. I think SOFI looks good. I mean, again, it could go lower before going higher. It could come down to the 886, which would be around the mid $15 area. Still has room to do that easily, but I do think that anything above 15 on SOFI could be pretty good, as long as it can hold above 15. You know, I think with something like this that's been in a downtrend ever since the beginning of June for pretty much a month, I think maybe scaling in could be a little bit optimal if one wanted to trade SOFI here at the 0.82 retrace. So it just depends on whether it holds this, which, you know, you'd want to be holding 16. If it breaks 16, then you want to hold about 1550-ish, which would be the 886. Do you have any entry points in mind for SOFI based on its hidden bullish divergence? I think the two ways you could look at it, like I was just saying for SOFI, is like either you could start scaling in right over here because it's already shown like an impulse reaction at the 0.082 and the divergence does look kind of ready to go. So either you could do that, and then in case it does randomly pop at some point this week, at least you'd be having a starter position in. Otherwise, if you really just want to be a very textbook conservative hit or miss trader, then, you know, the 886 would be around 1540-ish. And you just have to hope that the divergence would still be developing or confirmed at an even lower price. But it really just comes down to preference. I still think above 15 looks pretty nice, but again, you never know. It could just completely dump. Anything's possible in this market, but technicals for right now, as long as they can hold this area, this general area, I think this could be a potential reversal zone. Hence the PRZ. Shout out to Scott Carney. It's not actually at the 886 though, so we'll see. LUV is looking really interesting. Could be testing a breakout. If it could just really get above 53, which is a historical area for sure. A little bit choppy, but historical. If it can get above 53, that'd also be a breakout of this descending broadening wedge. There's pretty much is classic bullish divergence confirmed on the daily. I think Cheddar Freeze was talking about this in the Discord. Yeah, get above 53 and there's room back up to 58. There's really not much resistance between 53 and 58. If you cannot break 53, which again is only 2 cents away, then your closest support would probably be first the 200-day moving average at 5170, which is held for 2 days in a row now and bounced off of. And then after that, just $50. It was your low from last Thursday when it gapped down. Also psychological support, and then also historical level. Yeah, historical level, 2018 support, 2017 support, 2015 resistance. Yeah, that's Southwest. WKEY, you do have classic bullish divergence almost confirmed on the daily, which is good. On the 4 hour, I don't know, I think it got too deep to be a bat. Came down, actually it kind of is like a bat on the 4 hour. It is very kind of weird. It's not like a true XABCD. This was honestly kind of one wave, but I guess it is at the 886 almost, a little bit past it. And then also 683 is a historical level. So I guess as long as it can hold above 683 and the divergence can confirm, this could be a potential reversal low or confirmation low or double bottom. And, you know, next major resistance would be like 870-ish. And then after that, like 1070. So this could be an area where one, you know, puts a tight stop loss, sets up their targets, and you could get it through reward to risk, right? You could just put up your stop loss under last week's lows, target the next resistance, you get a 3 reward to risk, and then do pretty much the same thing. Hit the next target, same stop loss, you would get a 7 reward to risk. So even if it does fail here, it's a pretty good reward to risk area. So it's pretty interesting. WKEY International Holdings. ASLN, kind of in a weird area, honestly. I think 284 is a more important level than 311. No divergence, not much of a pattern, not really out of support. I could see this one going either way in the short term. It was down 9% today though. IVR, I guess it's still fine above 335, but it's kind of it's actually kind of breaking this previous demand line and flipping it into a supply line, unfortunately. You broke under it on July 6th and now spent the last 4 days using it as resistance, which is not good. You have had a fake out before though, like you did in the beginning of June. So it's not the end of the world. You still are above 335, which was your low from early June. early May. That's pretty much it. Also a 1-day candle high from May 19th of last year. You just want to hold above 335. Eventually there is a gap filled to 386, but you got to hold 335. Sundial, hidden bullish divergence is possible, but not really developing for right now on the daily. On the 4-hour, not much either. This actually now could turn into a bullish bat if it drops down to 77 cents, which would kind of be a little bit under the 200-day moving average. But actually, 75 cents is this support area from last summer, and a resistance from January of this year. So around 75 cents could be pretty interesting. 75 to 80 cents around that area. You have the 200-day moving average, historical level, and a harmonic pattern completion zone. I don't know if it gets down there for sure, but that would be a higher probability area for a potential reversal. So we'll see. Keep hitting that like button. We need 3 more likes to hit 40 likes. ASTS. I like that it's above 1231. It was support from January of this year, resistance from June last month. Now it's back above it. There is a little bit of classic bearish divergence developing on the daily MACD and on the daily RSI, so keep that in mind. You just want to continue holding above 1231 if you can. Then you got 1540-ish as resistance, and then you got a gap fill at 17 bucks. SQGB, really volatile. I don't really see much here to talk about in terms of, like, you know, technicals and swing trading. I don't really know anything about this company. Not much I can do here. It just kind of went straight up and then straight back down. You got support at 865. It's a historical area. You got a little bit of historical resistance at 20, and that's really about it. GEO is next. It still really is a monster on the weekly. I shared GEO I think in May at around $6, and I gave out, like, I never put out like an actual alert, but I did line up how you could manage your risk and target, and actually hit the target of how I lined it up. It was pretty cool. It was when a lot of other highly shorted stocks were running that 1 week, like the first week of June. But on the weekly, it has broken out of a falling wedge. It did reverse at the PCZ of a major 5-year bullish crab. On the monthly, I think there's there's classic bullish divergence that's now confirmed. June was your highest volume ever. I mean, this is like, GEO is a monster. This might be the best weekly chart that I know of right now. GEO is a monster on the weekly. And the monthly, there's classic, like, on high time frames, you're even at you reverse at a historical area. Like, this is a chart you should honestly learn from. I don't know if it's gonna, I mean, it already kind of did go crazy in June, but it pulled back down. I mean, it could take a lot of patience because you're looking at very high time frames, but it certainly has broken out of both a falling wedge, and it has bounced off the PCC of a textbook bullish crab on the weekly with classic bullish divergence on the monthly. Your MACD does look pretty good on the 4-hour as well. On the daily, you now have hidden bullish divergence on the daily. Like, I don't even know, like, somebody is messing with this chart. Like, honestly, somebody is just putting all the things that I look for on this chart. Typically I don't really trade weekly and monthly setups. I don't really have the patience for it, but for longer term traders, you know, GEO is a a very interesting looking chart with a lot of different technicals on it. Obviously you would have to be taking a long-term position on it. So if you were to be playing GEO and you're taking a long-term position on it, definitely would recommend, you know, doing a lot of fundamental analysis on what you're going to be holding. You know, even if you're getting into a super long-term trade because of technicals, you have to know what you're holding, right? So you got to do your fundamentals. I don't know too much about it. All I really know about them, which I've saw on like social media, was like some sort of thing with prisons or something. I don't really know exactly. But yeah, GEO is insane. It's even at a pretty important area right now. This $7 area was a low in 2009 and a high in 2005. So it's a crazy chart. Futures are still flat. Bitcoin is still at 33.2K. 2 more likes, hit 40 likes. Keep hitting that subscribe button if you're a new viewer of the stream. Always feel free to say what's up in the chat. Welcome yourself in, and well, say what's up and we'll welcome you into the free trading movement. That kind of sounded weird, but yeah, introduce yourself. So one more like to hit 40 likes. Michael says, any insight on Elliott wave theory? I see this a lot on Twitter about people charting it on certain stocks like IDEX and Wish, but it seems like it never ends up happening. I've never used Elliott wave theory. I'm never one to hate on other people's process. I think if you have a way of making money in the market consistently with good risk management, do whatever you want. So I never like hating on any other technicals or methods of trading. But I do think Elliott waves are a lot more speculative, and that could be looked at as a good or a bad thing. I mean, typically a bad thing, but with Elliott waves, there is so much that can happen before an Elliott wave fully plays out. Like, just for like a quick education, because let's see, what's up, friggin' cards? How you doing? I want to talk about this for a second. So TWLO will be the final ticker of the night. So after KTF, who dropped in TWLO, no more ticker requests. So we're still going to look at Zoom, DIDI, LOTZ, Apple, IDEX, XPEV, and TWLO in like 5 minutes. I just want to talk about this for a second because it's a pretty interesting topic that I never covered. All right, I'll look at GENI for FIFA Jesus as well. That's the last one for real though. GENI, final ticker of the night. We're gonna look at them in like 5 minutes. I'll do another round of, I'll do what I already just dropped on my watch list. But we're gonna talk about this for 5 minutes really quickly. So let me pull up a random chart. I don't know, whatever this is. All right, so this chart is actually really interesting. It was a random chart. I just hit the search button, but okay. All right, so with harmonic patterns, let me do this. So with harmonic patterns, you have waves, right? But you're only playing one of them, right? So with harmonic patterns, really what you're looking at is after the price already made the waves, on the final point of the harmonic, you're looking for some sort of a move, right? So really, you're only speculating one move, or you're only trying to place a bet on one singular move when you're playing a harmonic pattern, which would be like this, right? Which would be like that. All you're doing is playing the D point, right? You're looking for things that already have the X, A, B, and C, and then you're just playing the D. Now, I don't know if TradingView has Elliott, so we're going to try this. So when you're doing an Elliott wave, from my understanding, and again, I have not done a lot of research on Elliott waves, I've really just kind of overlooked them. But my understanding is people start using Elliott waves for predictions like well in advance, right? So when something's like maybe at here or somewhere earlier on in this pattern, people will start saying, okay, this stock is going to go up and then down and then back up at these exact prices. The thing for me is a lot of news can come out during that formation. A lot of people use Elliott's for longer term setups. I've talked to other people that are much smarter than me. You know, I have a lot of people that have mentored me in technicals over the past year. I've had a lot of, calls with people, and, a lot of people that I've learned a lot of my process from also have said similar things. Like, they can work. I'm not hating on them. It's just, it's a very different type. It's kind of in its own category of technical analysis compared to a lot of other technicals and also even wave patterns. So as far as I know, it can work, but it's just not really the route that I kind of go along in technicals. But again, like I said earlier, however you make money, make your money. Whatever indicators you use that allow you to make that money, I want you to use them. So it's not me saying to not use them, it's just saying they're not really they don't fit me. But that's really my rough understanding of the difference between these types of harmonic waves and Elliott waves, which again, there's a lot of different types of Elliots. This was just me drawing random points on the chart to make a point. But that was just like a little bit of a quick talk as to why I don't use it. Maybe one day in the future I start using them, you never know. But for right now, sticking to my current, harmonics, patterns, candlesticks, historical levels, divergence, moving averages, sometimes VWAP, sometimes MA clouds, sometimes Bollinger Bands for day trades. That's really what I stick to. So yeah, we're gonna finish up these take requests. Thank you for the 42 likes. Shadow Free says, I have an old post on the basics of charting in the Discord if you're curious, for sure. Jeff says, I think they're helpful guidelines, not perfect, obviously. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely, play them around other indicators. You could definitely line them up with other things. So again, I don't want to speak on it too much because I don't know too much about Elliott waves, but that's just why I've kind of overlooked them for that reason, for the just the fact that I don't like trying to anticipate. Where's the one that I'm looking for? Right here. I don't like trying to anticipate like all this. All I really like doing on my trades is just playing. Sorry. All I like doing on my trades personally is just playing this, right? So, yeah. But I'm sure you could play potentially, just certain parts of that wave or the final point or whatever it is. Again, I don't know too much about it, so don't want to sound too stupid. Zoom broke out of the downsloping channel, messed around with the 200-day moving average. No bearish divergence, not overbought. So this is a pretty important breakout. It definitely obviously offered a better entry area at 276, which was a previous resistance from like last August. It was a previous resistance that flipped into support in the beginning of May, bounced off of it, broke out. Next resistance is 440. Closest support, like really, like the closest support on the daily is 345. So it kind of is in the middle of nowhere. You could use Fibonacci for supports. I guess it does have a little 3-day support around 377 from these 3 candles. Otherwise, you could probably just use Fib levels in this area. But I don't really see much divergence. DIDI, I think there's been a lot of chats for this stream, and I said this earlier that I can't really do anything with IPOs, right? There is no pattern on this chart on the daily time frame. There's no RSI or MACD. So, for all of the tickers that I look at on the stream, I'm looking at the daily and the 4-hour. Pretty much that's all I look at because I'm looking at these tickers in the eyes of a swing trader. That's what, mainly is what I teach is swing trading. Day trading, I don't really talk too much about. I have a couple times, but maybe later on. So, on the daily, there's nothing I can do here. Maybe if I go down to the 1-hour, I could look at something, but again, it's such a new stock. They're facing a lot of scrutiny. I don't even know if scrutiny is the right word to use, but there's a lot of things going on with Chinese stocks over the past, really this whole entire year. But even on the 1-hour, it's like there's not much I can do. So unfortunately, this is not something I have the ability to chart, and I don't know really anything about this company. So I'm sorry. LOTZ, we looked at this when we were scanning. I think Mehdi brought it up in the call. There is confirmed hidden bullish divergence. It it had a 618 retrace pretty much, but it didn't reverse at the 786. It came down to the 886. So kind of like a mix of a Gartley and a bat. It did bounce off of that area though, the 886 or really the 84, kind of random, but you did get a bullish pin bar on July 8th on the 4-hour, and it's gone up ever since. Main thing I see here is hidden bullish divergence. If that can play out, the next resistance is 569. Otherwise, you just want to hold above your low from July 8th, which is 468. Apple, new all-time high today. That's amazing. Actually, I think, yeah, it had a new all-time high on Friday, but another new all-time high today. This was a premium trade. The entry was $125. It already hit the first 2 targets for a 15% gain. Final target of the trade is right under 150. It's 149. I think I just went for was it fib levels maybe? How did I do this? Not like that. Might have done it. I put this out probably in like the middle of May. I don't even remember exactly how I lined it up, but yeah, final target of that was 149. We'll see if it gets there. It's about $5 away. You're at a make or break area. This is pretty much your only level left on Apple. Breaks above it, you could probably just use Fibonacci like this. Actually, it's at the 1618. Actually, wow, look at that. It hit the 1618 today perfectly, and then it pulled back 1% at the 1618. So it just hit the 1618. If it does truly just break over 145, let me try to make it a little bit better. If it really does break over 145, the 2618 is all the way up at 160, and that is possible. And you can't say it's impossible, obviously, because anything's possible in the market, but you gotta remember, Apple just spent almost a year consolidating. The biggest company in the world by market cap just spent a year kind of doing nothing, almost a year. And now it just broke out like a week ago. Even if it does pull back before it goes again, it's just such a real breakout. Even if it does do a back test and then runs again, like, I'm still bullish on Apple long term. But obviously short term it is overbought. You are to make a break here. You already did just have a crazy run in 1 month. It might be time for a little bit of a pause, and then you just run again. You never know. But that's really all you could do with Apple at this point. IDEX we were also looking at. Mehdi brought it up in the call. It is another mix of a Gartley and a bat. You had a 618 from X to B, and then the 886 from X to D. You do have some hidden bullish divergence on the daily, MACD and RSI, and it's barely hanging on to the 200-day moving average. You definitely want to hold that. Otherwise, your next support would be 223, and your closest resistance is 284. XPEV. Eventually, hidden bullish divergence is possible if the MACD starts losing negative momentum. 3750 is your closest support. It's also around the 200-day moving average at 37. I don't really see much of a pattern. That's really it. TWLO. Now this is pretty interesting. So if TWLO cannot break higher than 405, there actually is confirmed hidden bearish divergence on the daily, on both the MACD and the RSI. So to invalidate this hidden bearish divergence, it needs to break above the high from April 27th at 405 or 406 really. If it breaks that, then you got about 417 as your next resistance, and then you got a gap fill at 436. If it cannot break this area and hidden bearish divergence pulls this down, there definitely is room to the downside. I mean, there's not really any major historical levels of support that are close by, so you'd probably just be using Fibonacci levels as your supports. GENI kind of broke out of the only thing it had on the chart, which was a rising wedge. You had 1, 2, 3, yeah, you had 5 touches, so it was textbook. You did have hidden bullish divergence, which really didn't do anything. I guess now it's just within a little bit of a range in between like 17 and 20. So it's just in this range right now. I think whichever way it breaks could be telling, but again, technicals on, you know, super new charts are not the same probability as charts with years and years of data. So that's the final ticker of the night. Anything else in the chat? We can always go to moon phases to chart. Bitcoin was following it. Yeah, I did hear about that. X-ray goggles dropping the mic emoji in the chat. And yeah, I think that's going to be it for the night. Thank you for everybody showing up to the stream. Thank you for the 43 likes. Thank you again. I don't know if he's still in here, but thank you, Steven, for the $47 tip. Really appreciate it. Jeff says, thanks, champ. We ride at dawn for CLOV. Good vibes only. For sure. Hopefully CLOV and not get wrecked. I'm just going to put it like that. So hopefully CLOV can do something crazy. If not, just manage your risk. We'll move on. So yeah, have a great night, everybody. I'll see you in the Discord if you want to join. Links in the description. Yeah, If you want to sign up for TradingView, which is the charting platform I use on every single stream, the link for that is also in the description. It is a referral link. I don't really get money from it. It just extends my my plan on it for however many months. But yeah, check out the links in the description. I'll see you in the Discord, and I'll see you again tomorrow night at 9 p.m. EST. So have a great night. Good luck trading tomorrow, and peace out.